Welcome to Purchase Orders Overview and Creation. We'll be approaching this subject matter from the site view of the application. Based on that view, site administrators will be able to add and edit purchase orders. The only limitation could come in if the district chooses to limit permissions in that area. During this session, we'll not only be doing an overview of purchase orders, but we'll also compare and contrast the difference between an internal purchase and a district purchase. We'll also take a look at step-by-step instruction on creating a purchase order. Now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Now that I'm logged in to the TIPWeb-IT application as a site administrator, I'm ready to begin instruction on purchase orders. I want to start with an overview of the purpose. I'm going to use two scenarios to do that. My first scenario is that my particular site has some internal funds that we would like to use to purchase, say, Chromebooks for our particular site. Purchase order is the way I want to get those particular tagged assets into my application so that I can begin tracking them. The second scenario is that perhaps our district makes purchases for our site and they're going to have that purchase order created. Now in some districts only the shell of the purchase order comes in and then it's up to the site to enter in the products and get the tags into a room. Now I'm going to go ahead and take you through both of those scenarios so that they'll make more sense. Before I move into the purchasing page, however, I want to draw your attention to the vendors icon in the quick links area of my site. If you'll see vendors, I'm going to go ahead and click, which is going to open up the Manage Vendors area. If you're creating a purchase order for internal purchases, you're going to want to make sure that the vendor is populating in this list. If it's not, you'll click on the Add Record icon, add the vendor name, and save. Now I'm ready to go up and show you the purchasing icon, and we're going to click to enter into that page. Now that we're on the purchasing page, we'll start with our first scenario, and that is that our particular site is purchasing a Chromebook with internal funds. To begin that scenario, we'll click on the Add Record icon to add a new purchase order. Now we're on the shell of the purchase order. Certain areas are in red and we'll need to get those filled out before we can save and move to the next step. We start with the purchase order number. Next, we'll choose a vendor. Funding request is not required, and this area relates to E-rate funding. We'll go ahead and choose a purchase date, and we could choose, if we so desire, an estimated delivery date. We also have the opportunity to leave notes. Now we're ready to add. Clicking Add brings us to the Products tab of the purchase order, and the next step in our scenario is to locate the product. We'll do that by clicking Add Record. Notice the areas in red. They will be required before we can add and move to the next step. We'll click the binoculars to search for the product. We can either search by a portion of the product's name, select the manufacturer from the drop-down list to narrow our search, or select the product type to narrow the search. I'll enter a portion of the product's name. If I see the product populating, I can go ahead and select it. If it's not, I may need to reach out to my district administrators and they can assist me in this area. Clicking Select loads the product, and now we're ready to select the funding source from the drop-down menu. enter account code if we so choose, although it's not required, review the purchase price and update it if necessary, and lastly, enter the ordered quantity. Now we're ready to add. Now as you can see on my screen that our product is populating along with the number ordered, received, shipped, and the last step is to receive the tags into a particular room. However, before we receive the tags, we do have the opportunity to delete if we so choose. We're going to leave this purchase order as it is because in our next video we'll be showing you how to receive from a purchase order. I want to go ahead now though and refresh my screen and show you our next scenario. Now that I've refreshed my screen, you can see the purchase order that we created using internal funds. The next purchase order I want to show you is an example of what you might see if your district utilizes purchase order integration. In my example on the screen, this particular district brings in the shell of the purchase order only, and it would be the site's job then to load the purchase order with the products. I'm going to go ahead and click to expand this particular purchase order so that we can look inside. Notice that there are no products in this purchase order. And if I click on the details, I can see the basic shell of the purchase order. I'm going to go ahead and click back on the Products tab, and we'll just go ahead and add a product to this purchase order. Again, I'll search for the product number, and I'm going to go ahead and receive or order the very same product. I'm going to choose a different funding source, and in this instance, I'll enter an account code. I'll review the purchase price and enter the ordered quantity. And now I'm ready to add. I would continue to add products to the purchase order until all products were entered. This concludes our session on purchase order overview and creation. Please be sure to join us for our next session where we'll be walking you step by step through the process of receiving from a purchase order. We want to thank you for watching, and remember you have unlimited support. Please find additional materials and videos on our support center.